Broadcasting from the Symphony Studios in Marietta, Georgia, it's time for the Technology Harmony Podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. Tune in every week as we spotlight the very best minds in our industry. Now here are your hosts.
Hi, I'm Leo Dess, and this episode of the Technology Harmony Podcast is sponsored by The Inside. To stay up to date on how we are creating technology harmony with Symphony, subscribe to all of our content on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 16th episode of the Technology Harmony Podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. I am one of your hosts today, Katie Galley, and I am joined by my co-host, one of our business development reps here at Symphony, Avery Greer. How you doing, Avery?
Doing well, Katie. Super excited to jump in with Jeff and see the cool things that STRATIS has going on today.
Me too. I'm super excited. And Avery, it's super cool because this is the first time me and you are co-hosting an episode together.
Yep. First of many, I'm hoping. I think we got a cool thing going on.
Absolutely. Super fun to co-host with all of the cool Symphony people here. But yes, as Avery said, we have an amazing guest in our Symphony studio with us today. We have the Vice President of Sales at STRATIS IoT, Jeff Morrison. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm great. How's everybody?
Doing great. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your story with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Jeff. So just to kind of kick it off, can you tell us a little bit about your professional journey and how you got the job that you have today?
Well, it goes back 20 plus years in multifamily. I started with a startup in the advertising realm, one of the first internet listing services in the apartment or real estate space. It was known as All Apartments, and that became homestore.com and now is known as move.com or realtor.com.
Wow.
And after that, I moved to a second version of a startup in the same space called My New Place, which was a version 2 of the ILS concept for apartment listing services, or ILSs, internet listing services. And then I got into some utility billing and energy management, and I was there in that space until the popularity of and the concept of IoT came into this space, into multifamily.
Wow.
And so I've been at STRATIS for over 2 years, and I bring this kind of legacy of knowing apartment operations, multifamily operations, from advertising to utility expense management, how to drive NOI, how to drive down operating expenses. And now we have, with this technology, this unique ability now to take real-time data that we never had before and harness that into real actions, real sustainability programs, if you will. So very exciting times.
Absolutely. And yes, it's clear you're a part of some really amazing going-ons with STRATIS and, of course, with your own background. And so, Jeff, I'm curious, were you always interested in being an entrepreneur in that startup space, or did it just kind of fall into your lap?
It just kind of happened naturally, really. And really just having kind of the forward thinking, or having that mentality of willing to take risks and try new things. And, even though STRATIS has been around for over 7 years as STRATIS, we're still kind of operating in kind of that startup mentality, Yeah. We are a spinoff of BooLogix, which was the very first Z-Wave global test house or certification house, founded in 2003 by Ryan Buchert, our CTO. We still operate that business, but with the ability now to use IoT devices, mainly thermostats and locks and access control and lighting, and now leak sensing and our APIs with water submetering and all of this new sustainability that we can do. We're very much on the cutting edge, and it very much feels like we're still a startup. But I think you can consider us in the teenager, young adult phase at this time,
Right. And that is cool to be part of a company that has very much that startup feel, even though, of course, you're becoming more established and doing such amazing things, being attracted to that kind of culture. And so, Jeff, for you, how did you grow to become the VP of Sales, and what are your primary roles and responsibilities?
Well, I met our co-founders and CEO, Felicity Mormon, 2 years ago, and learning about their journey, and them learning about my background from, the sustainability. Again, their mindset has always been around facilities IoT, if you will. So IoT meaning Internet of Things. It wasn't really about creating a flashy resident amenity that most others are kind of thinking about this today over the past couple of years. For them, it was about how can we actually change the world, if you will, and go global with this concept of utilizing and leveraging the technology that we helped formulate as BlueLogix back in '03 when Z-Wave was starting to become a protocol. And how can we leverage that and use that across not only the United States, but globally to affect how multifamily assets are managed every day, and how you look at sustainability and how it affects the environment, right? So that is really what attracted me to STRATIS. It wasn't about a new flashy amenity for apartments or amenity for residents. It's about the long-term goal of sustainability and affecting change. And
Yeah,
so
I know one thing that we touched on in the previous podcast is that STRATIS was originally titled STRATIS EMS, and you guys really have that background for energy management services, and it's definitely something that from a perspective has kind of been a background to the kind of cool flashy stuff that STRATIS can do. But like I said, it's definitely a long-term play and really helping these buildings be a player in the ecosystem, amongst the surroundings that they have with them.
definitely. I mean, if you're an owner, developer, or apartment manager, you really should be focused on what does this mean in 5 years? What does it mean in 10 years? If I'm building an asset today, I do need the right technology in just to make the building work and make it seamless and give the resident the necessary or the desired experience of accessing the building, and the managers day to day controlling that building and controlling access to residents, visitors, service personnel. But beyond that, what does it mean? Why am I using this technology, and what is it going to do for me in 5+ years? So that's really what we're focused on. So we're coming out with, like I mentioned, APIs with existing water submetering companies to bring in real-time water consumption into the residents app, real-time electricity or energy monitoring with several different devices that we can retrofit into a building, backnet integrations with HVAC systems that can't really accept a residential thermostat or can't use one of those residential thermostats everyone knows about, such as a Nest. So these are really important, impactful ways that managers and owners, as they build these assets, can think about the future and what they need to implement today that's going to essentially future-proof their asset today and into the future.
And so, Jeff, then, in that forward thinkingness, so at 5-10 years down the road to kind of future-proof what you guys are doing, how do you go about educating people on that? So, it's hard to think, even a year into the future as far as technology goes. So 5-10 years down the road, how do you go about that educational component?
That's a great question. It is our biggest challenge. We are fortunate to have spent the last several years forging relationships with Mill Creek, for example, is a great example of a great client of ours and a great partner. These are companies that share our vision and help us get the word out. Andrew Beach at Mill Creek is active in multifamily and speaking and getting his message out that it's about sustainability. It's about asset protection for him and for that company. Leak sensing is such a huge, impactful technology now that can save assets and save from catastrophic damage from floods. But it's forging those relationships. We also have a great marketing department. We have a very active sales team. And then we really value our partnerships with the companies like Symphony, our integrators, if you will. The companies that are the boots on the ground that roll trucks to sites that install our services and have become what we call STRATIS certified partners, or SCPs. And those are incredibly valuable relationships. with certified partners like yourself that can help us get the word out to their client base and educate and advise. Really, this is a consultative really process that it's not so much sales as it is more consulting, and then that really makes it enjoyable. Selling, can be on both sides, can be kind of kind of challenging on both sides of the coin if you're the client or if you're the company, you're the service provider. But really consulting on projects is what makes it super interesting and rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and the cool thing about STRATIS from what I've learned is, you have the ability to, kind of adapt to what that customer is looking for. I've done, we personally installed STRATIS on a student housing project where it's, they just wanted the Schlag locks, integrated at the door level for, really easy onboarding, offboarding. Then of course you have like your premieres at, Park on Spear that has that, really full blown IoT solution. And it's crazy just to kind of look at you guys and the separation of from your competitors and how you're able to kind of, constantly expand and all these different ecosystems of the, the resident, the property managers, the developers, the owners, and really, constantly driving a step forward to really help both of them. So I'm a huge fan of STRATIS, and I hopefully don't want to, say too much, but no, it's we're super cool product, and the versatility of it has really been a really cool component to work with, and really helping educate customers that there's a solution that works for them.
That's so true. The flexibility, like you just said, is key. When I first joined the company 2 years ago, we're kind of a master of metaphors. Sometimes we use bite size as the right size, to be flexible, to be modular. STRATIS is your racetrack. You can, consider us the track that you pick your ponies and what you want to run on that racetrack. We also use sidewalk to sofa, which is a concept of access control, of being able to be standing outside the property and getting through the entire asset through amenity spaces and corridors in your unit with a single app on your phone. But the flexibility is really the key. STRATIS isn't for everyone, but we can be for most. I mean, we have properties like you just mentioned that could be student housing. They could be affordable housing that need us for thermostat and HVAC control, or it's student housing that needs us to manage every single door lock on the site, including residents' bedroom doors, right? All the way up to a Class A luxury property like Park on Spear that has Lutron lighting and automated window shades. So it really runs the gamut. That's really our strength, is our flexibility.
Jeff, who comes up with all those metaphors that you guys have? It's a lot.
It's Felicity Mormon, our CEO. She's the marketing mind, and it's her concept. This is her company that she founded with Ryan Buchert, and took it from a Z-Wave global test house, certification house, making thermostats for different companies and making components for different locks, to saying, what can we really do with this? And the concept is, as you mentioned, is originally STRATIS EMS for energy management systems. So along the way, she's come up with these great metaphors, because it is relatively complex in what we can do, but we want to try to simplify it to make it, reachable and certainly consumable and flexible enough for any type of multi-dwelling unit, whether it's a multi-family property, well, it's student housing, senior housing, anything from C all the way up to A. So.
Yeah, no, and one thing I definitely wanted to just kind of about your professional journey and only joined it about 2 years ago, were there any kind of competitive options, within that STRATIS IoT space that you entertained, or was STRATIS kind of that always next step forward into that space?
I did have a short stay at one of our competitors before STRATIS. It was just a brand new startup at the time. Didn't have any funding yet. It was a conceptual stage before their seed round, maybe one seed round, and before their Series A. So and just learning about Stratis, I learned so much within the first few months of sitting down with Ryan and Felicity on, namely around security, and around all the different communication protocols and how we actually network an entire property in a secure and cost-effective way. So definitely learned a lot about this space in the last 2 years. But again, I brought a lot of knowledge just based on my multifamily experience.
And Jeff, I mean, it's clear you talk very passionately about what Stratis does and the mission that they're on. So what about that mission really speaks to you? Why are you so passionate about sustainability and just everything that Stratis does?
Well, it's really fun to represent a product that makes everyone's lives easier and more efficient. From the day-to-day aspect of managing multifamily property, from something as simple as trying to issue a physical file credential to managing who's got access to your property, having visibility. We do a lot around security. We are SOC 2 compliant, which is a certification process, which is a non-financial audit process that certifies Stratis as a secure platform for both access control and privacy, around privacy and use of devices inside someone's home. And so what really drives my passion for it is that it just simply works so well. And it's even though it can be complex, it's such a simple thing, to install and to change the way apartments are managed and the way people live in these facilities, live in these spaces more efficiently. And then, of course, as our population doesn't seem to be slowing down, it keeps growing, we definitely need to take care of the environment. I'm personally involved in animal and shark conservation and ocean conservation. And so that kind of falls in line with kind of my long-term goals as, I guess, as a human on this planet. That doesn't sound too corny.
It doesn't.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like I said, I know, you guys keep taking steps forward to kind of differentiate yourself from the competition and all these different facets, as far as, residents or property managers or owners and things like that. It's almost a three-pronged question, from a resident perspective or property management and that owner standpoint. Has anyone ever kind of reached out to you and said, these are real difference makers and this has affected my life or affected a property in a way that's different than kind of a traditional standard, separated system property?
Well, we hear about it all day long from the managers, how it streamlined their day-to-day lives and made them more efficient at their jobs, and it enables them to pay more attention to the service end of servicing their residents, right? So if we can make their administrative lives a lot easier and streamlined, then they have more time to do more for their residents. In turn, the residents, we did have a resident event right before COVID at Park on Spear, and we had a focus group. And I heard stories from a very diverse group of residents that lived at that property, all age groups, from young to seniors even living in the property, that were utilizing this technology for the first time, and how they enjoy using it and made their lives much more efficient. We even had a story about a resident who got locked in a stairwell because his fob became corrupted and he couldn't use it at the reader. He was stuck in the stairwell trying to get into the amenity floor on the 6th floor. And he thought for a second, well, how am I gonna have to walk down the 6 flights of stairs to the management office? No, he pulled out his mobile phone, he pulled up his Stratis app, and he used it at that access point to get into the space. So it got him out of that stairwell, and it was kind of a sigh of relief for him. So little things like that. And now with the sustainability that we're bringing on with our APIs on water and electric real-time energy monitoring, we're going to start seeing more and more of these stories of how it's changing their financial and their day-to-day expense of operating and living to just more convenience. And so check back in 6 months and we'll have more data for you.
Yeah, no,
we'll have you on again.
we'll get lucky number 3 going.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jeff, looking to the future, I mean, you just touched on it, but what can we expect from STRATIS other than a follow-up episode with you in 6 months?
Yeah, I keep mentioning the energy side and the water side. We are expanding our offerings on access, more flexibility around the different systems that we integrate with. So you're going to see STRATIS having more flexibility for the owners, more choice, more integrations with access control. We are very far along with Lutron's products. We can do anything from as simple as an access control deployment with a thermostat, or all the way up to automated window shades and lighting. So the backnet integrations are going to be interesting too. These are systems that wouldn't normally be able to have a STRATIS interact without going directly into that system and controlling that HVAC system with our backend integration. So a lot around, as I mentioned, a lot around the energy side and water side and overall sustainability.
Yeah. Well, Avery, do you have any more questions for Jeff before we wrap?
No, man, I'm super thankful you're able to join us and kind of share your story and really help maybe provide an opportunity to educate some of our audience members on really how to take the next step with STRATIS and really understand that the versatility will kind of speak for itself, regardless of the application of the project or development of what you got going on. But no, I'm all good. Like I said, thank you so much, and I know we have a lot of things coming down the pipeline, and look forward to seeing where those go.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff, did you want to say something, Jeff?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's great, and really love the interaction and the relationship with Symphony, and hoping to do some big things with you all. Would you like me to share contact info, or I can share my screen and show that if you'd like?
Yeah, sure. I was just about to ask you, Jeff, if someone wanted to get in touch with you or learn more about STRATIS, where might they do that?
See, I can never take the sales hat off. I'm so sorry.
You could, if you want to share your screen, go for it. People watching the video can see. And then for the audio, if you want to say maybe STRATIS's website where people can find you too.
Absolutely. I'm going to just share this slide so you can all see. You can see my contact info. You can also see our Chief Product Officer, Charlie Hill, our Head of Product and Innovation is on the screen there as well. But you can simply just go to STRATISIoT.com. STRATISIoT.com, and there's my phone number if you want to reach out. You can email me at jeff@STRATISIoT.com. And we have a brand new website. We have a brand new version 2 of our mobile app that can be found in both the App Store as well as Google Play. And we also have more integrations with Google Home coming, in addition to what we already have with Alexa voice command. So look out for that. But our new app you can download without having to log in with an account, and you can play around with our app as if you were a resident or manager using the demo mode. So feel free to go and check that out.
Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To learn more about our guest and their company, check out the show notes for the relevant links. If you would like to learn more about us here at Symphony, of course, subscribe to our podcast on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook at Symphony Technology Solutions, and on Instagram at Symphony Tech Solutions. Here at Symphony, our ultimate goal is to make harmonious music out of all the technological noise. And we hope today's episode helped in doing just that. See you next time.